I think the black kids have really made an effort in, if you can say, in multiracial situations to reach out to white musicians. And I think in the last couple of years the response has been better. When it first started, they were not accepted.
For me, I feel like most white people, it's not them saying, wow, you play the bass well. It's more like, wow, you're black and you play the bass well.
In Bloemfontein, a city where, during apartheid, classical music was the domain of the white elite, a radical project has been taking place. In Bloemfontein, a city where, during apartheid, classical music was the domain of the white elite, a radical project has been taking place.
My name is Tapelo Masita. I am 18 years old. I come from Bloemfontein. I'm a cellist and I'm part of the Mangaung string program, playing in the Bochabela string orchestra, which is the senior orchestra of the program. The music scene in Bloemfontein is absolutely fantastic. The Mangaung string project was started over 15 years ago by an American bassist called Peter Guy. Learning the violin, the cello, the viola, whatever, had been sort of limited to, say, the white supreme of the time. And he thought, it would be a great idea. Why not let the black kids try it out? And the kids who, not only necessarily the blacks, the kids who cannot afford to buy their own violin, try out. So he organized to have a couple of instruments put together and he started the program. There were like 5 kids. And now we have over 500 children in the program.
My name is Sioli Senyondo. I play the double bass. One day I was in the bus with Mr. Guy and he was like, let me see your fingers, and he was like, wow, you have like huge fingers, like it will actually suit the bass, don't you want to try it? I was like, okay, I'll ask my mom as soon as I get home. And I have to say I'm glad that I changed from violin to double bass because I'm really enjoying it a lot.
Morning.
My name is Bonolo Khaile. I'm originally from Bloemfontein. The violin is the instrument that I love. It's my first instrument actually. I've never even played anything before that.
Each Saturday, children from the black neighborhoods of Bloemfontein are brought by bus to the Musicon, an extramural musical training center established during apartheid times. This project has been a passion of bassist Peter Guy's for 15 years.
Put J and C together. Okay. Here we go.
Bloemfontein under apartheid was a national centre for classical music training. After 1994, the new government saw classical music as an elitist white endeavour, and funding priorities shifted. The survival of the Musicon school was threatened.
The classical music scene in Bloem was really vibrant. There was concerts constantly, audiences. There were most concerts were sold out, or the halls were full. But it was quite artificial because it was just for part of the population. But you could see that the world was changing. Just prior to the change of government, a young black girl was brought to me by the Arts Council, just saying, we don't know if this girl should play the bass, but we think you will look after her. So I started teaching her, and she did extremely well. I started thinking, well, if she can do well, there must be other kids who can also do well. I had a very good contact at one of the primary schools, which was called Bochabela. So we approached the school and ended up with 15 young kids who are interested in playing the violin. And interestingly enough, out of some of those young kids now, they've also gone on to be professional performers.
The reason I chose to play the cello was because my first violin teacher was initially a cellist himself. He came one day to my lesson with his cello, which just happens to be the cello I'm playing on now. So the cello I'm playing on is actually the first cello I've ever heard or ever seen, ever touched.
Stop for me quickly once. Play the first note. Wait, and you see?
I mean, the first time I saw it, I was so scared to touch it because first of all, it was 10 times bigger than me. And I mean, I couldn't believe that something could look so good because all the violins, I remember the violins we played on were these red, very ugly red box violins, which sounded terrible.
Because this last
I begged him literally to play me something. And I can't remember what he played. I think he played Bach Courant. And I mean, his fingers were moving so fast and it sounded so good. And I mean, after that, I mean, it was decided I would never play the violin again. The cello was to be my instrument, full stop.
Okay, you know what I hear is before your string crossing, I hear a little gap. Can you go more legato to the next string? Yes.
I have a recital soon where I think I'm playing the most difficult program I've ever played in my life.
Bonolo and Siolise both attend what was once a whites-only school.
I did not grow up with classical music, so before then I did not think of it as being a white or a black thing because I was not exposed to it. I never saw it as, oh, I'm black and I'm playing classical music. But then once we got out there, people obviously like, wow, black kids playing classical music, how does that happen? But for me, I feel it shouldn't matter really.
Hoekom is Haydn aangestel by Hertog of hoekom werk hy aan die hof? Want dis waar sy salaris vandaan kom. Okay. Onthou, in die barok en in die klassieke periode was komponiste nog nie selfverantwoordelik vir hulle salaris en met ander woorde, hulle het
For me, I feel like most white people, it's not them saying, wow, you play the bass well. It's more like, wow, you're black and you play the bass well.
Bloemfontein's old guard has at times been slow to fully embrace talented young black musicians. But someone like Bonolo also experiences resistance from her own community.
People in my community see me as a snob because I play the violin and it's a Western instrument, so why should I play it, you know?
Let's pick it up from there, from the F sharp. Good, much better, much better. Just
I've tried to explain to them what the instrument is and what it's like, but they just don't want to understand.
much better. Carry on.
I don't even go outside anymore because the people think I don't fit with them. No, they don't want me to fit in with them because they think I'm this snob. I don't want to mingle in with them because they don't play the violin or any Western instrument.
Let's just build that up again. Can you start from there?
During the weekdays, younger children from across Bloemfontein are brought to the Musicon after school to learn to play classical musical instruments.
These kids then are given instruments and they pay, a small amount, 120 a quarter to play the violin. And then they come here to the Musicon once or twice. They come twice every week. Free transport from school and transport afterwards, after 5 o'clock. All the kids are taken home. And we have 3 different orchestras. You start from the baby orchestras.
D, E, D, E, D, E.
As soon as you get to the senior orchestra, you feel like you're the man.
Okay. So we actually have 3 what I'd call junior orchestras. The children are assigned to an orchestra based on their ability, and it starts at a very low standard, but they get the experience of playing together. I suppose learning to work together so they don't just play on their own. Yeah, that's what a big part of the orchestra is the kids being together.
Same bowing, all right? This is how it works in the orchestra. You follow the person in the front. Doesn't matter if you like them, you like their bowing, it doesn't matter. You do what they do. Okay, so if she goes down, you go down. Okay, you can't be going backwards. Okay, watch the leader. If they go down bow, you must be going down bow. You guys can watch Deirdre. Okay, 3 and 4 and. Up, up, up.
He's very, very strict. He's very strict, up. But he's our dad. He's everyone's father. He has all our best interests at heart. He'll never do anything that will harm you. You may feel that, oh no, he's not being cool about this or whatever, but he always does things that are in our best interests.
Let's hear it. Same story. Okay, you St. Mary's people, you started off great, and now you're getting further and further behind because you do not practice. And whatever you practice is not what you're supposed to. This is what you're supposed to practice. Decide if you want to play well. If you want to play well, then you practice.
This your X, this your A. Now put them where they belong.
Okay, yes. No, you must plus, because you're looking for your squints.
Fantastic.
Say donkey.
Thanks.
Just explain.
Hello, Miss Katis. We're very good friends. So we're all one big happy family in the BSR. a lot of the kids in the senior orchestra of the Bochabela string program are chosen to play in the Free State Youth Symphony Orchestra. Everyone in the Free State comes to Bloemfontein to have there's like 2 rounds of auditions to get into the orchestra, and the top young musicians are chosen.
I think the black kids have really made an effort in, if you can say, in multiracial situations to reach out to white musicians. And I think in the last couple of years the response has been better. But I can say when it first started, they were not accepted.
Leading instrumentalists in the Bochabela String Orchestra also have lead positions in the Free State Youth Orchestra. Many of them are now transferring their skills to younger musicians.
As our younger kids who started 15 years ago have grown up, they've become the absolute perfect teachers. You know, they grew up in a system, they understand the system, they understand the culture, they speak 3 or 4 languages.
Wait, this can quickly tell me that that one gets half of the first one, so it's going to be. And I like that you could figure that out on your own. You know when you're wrong, you know you have to go back and fix it on your own.
Here you're taught how to be a good cellist, and you learn from your teacher, and you teach your students what you learned from your teacher. So it becomes sort of like a passing on of knowledge. It's totally useless to teach sort of one generation and leave that generation be without that generation sort of giving back to an even younger generation.
Chiki, ni kadi shoulders. O dira chicken, bona le nna ke dira chicken share. Parce que bona batla. Me. Sasha la kotla skodi. Emisa sa.
I absolutely enjoy it. It's always a bit frustrating when the kids come in and they haven't practiced, and before the lesson when you ask them, did you practice? And they say, yes teacher, I practiced. And you always end up learning more from the younger kids than you end up teaching them.
You know, in this country, there's so many young people who don't have job prospects, they don't have career prospects. So a lot of these young kids now have a career path in a sense, and they have a future that they didn't have before. So they actually become the teachers of the future. And hopefully one day they will take the program further into the future.
A,
And then
C, B, C, D.
In order to learn a sense of responsibility, the children are entrusted with the school's musical instruments. which they take home with them at the end of the day. Come Saturday, Peter collects the senior children again.
The nice thing about driving the bus for me is you immediately understand where the children come from, where they're living, what some of the issues are, what parents are concerned about. You know, it's all well and good to say, a black child must have access to learning the violin. But I don't think that's enough if you don't understand where they come from, what the challenges they face, what their culture is.
I'm so used to waking up in the morning, going to my stop, catching the bus, coming to the music on, tuning, playing, and I love doing it.
I feel like on Saturdays, that is like almost like the highlight of the week.
Who's got extra cello music?
While the orchestra is increasingly successful, the day-to-day challenges of managing an orchestra of children who come from a variety of different backgrounds remain.
Okay. Hello.
Hello, Mr.
How
are you?
Good, and yourself?
Oh, fine, thanks. What is the problem with this young lady?
Someone must tell me. I think she must tell me. She never spoke to me. She never told me she's not coming. She just didn't come.
Is it?
Yeah.
But now...
And now it's almost 2 quarters and she still hasn't come. So, I mean, somebody must tell me what she's doing. Okay, listen, you and I are going to speak. Your grandparents are going to go and then we will talk. I don't...
I always tell people that I'm the only man in Africa with no wife and 400 children. So the kids have become my kids, and I guess this is my experience, my limited experience at parenting. So I mean, first off, I feel like I have a family where I didn't before. A lot of people would say, "Oh, you've given so much to the kids," and I say, "But actually, no, the kids have given so much to me." You know, you see the world through different eyes. And I think as I was learning the violin and later on the bass, it was all about me. I was just concerned about my playing and what I was doing. I was incredibly unsympathetic.
Let's start with the violin, all right? Don't worry about what anybody else thinks. Just come and play, and then we'll sort this out. You hear me? Okay. Go wash your face and then come play. Okay?
Do me a favor, just stick your nose in the girl's toilet. Just see if I told her she must go wash her face and calm down.
Should I go in front?
Please.
1, 2, 1.
When we play, it's like we are one. And we help one another, like personally and in the orchestra as well. I mean, we don't judge each other.
If we look back, we see what we've tried to do is give children who didn't have the opportunities, the chances to learn a musical instrument and to develop the skills that come from learning an instrument. You know, the responsibility, the self-esteem, self-respect. And I'm a big believer that whether or not you become an accomplished musician or go to concerts or not, that the qualities you learn from practicing, from applying yourself, those qualities take you a long ways in life.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1, and yep.
I want to study music and become an orchestral musician and a chamber musician. And after that, maybe build a school of my own for unprivileged kids. Just start a program like the Mangaon String program.
Okay, let's try and concentrate, please.
Solo playing is not my thing, but I want to study music afterwards. I would love to go on studying the bass and then on to playing orchestra music. Those are my plans.
I'll be going to America. I got a scholarship from the Interlochen Academy of the Arts in Michigan. I mean, I can't wait for that. I'm very excited for it.
UB4G.
In addition to his scholarship, Tapelo has been accepted to the prestigious Juilliard Academy in New York.
We've had a number of international opportunities for the orchestra. We managed to send, I think it was 15 children to Belgium. That was our first experience, and it was a wonderful experience. And a few years ago, thanks to, again, a Belgian foundation, we had, I think, 10 days of concerts in Austria and 10 days of concerts in Belgium. I don't have grand visions about where we want to go, but if there's Tapelas and Bonolos and Sialises around Bloemfontein, I'm sure there must be many more all around South Africa. If I look at the future, it would be to try and expand the program as much as possible, and giving children that experience that their lives can be changed through music.
In this city, with its deep musical roots, members of the Bochabela String Orchestra are once again experiencing the vibrancy, human connection, and a sense of diligence that a musical education brings.